Yo, 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 welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. And before we get to our guest today, we have a big shout out for Living Sisu. Living Sisu is a platform and app that wants to give you all the tools to have success in your sport. Their main objective is to activate your lifestyle. So it's for active people. Enjoy discounts at companies like BioSteel, 30% off, Body Logics, the Goalie Guild, all his books are discounted. Roan, Lululemon for men, 20% off, online stretching programs with Eccentrics, 1 full month free. They got super silent massage guns, 20% off those. And it's a great quality. It's way less expensive than a Theragun, and it's great quality. So there's so many more discounts that you guys will need to just become a member to see. So they want to provide you with anything you need for success. So come join the community. I'm a part of it. A bunch of other athletes are a part of it. So it's free to join. It takes 20 seconds to get exclusive offers to your sport, and it's definitely worth it. So do us a huge favor and go sign up for Living Sisu's membership. It's free, 20 takes 20 seconds. So go do it, and we'll see you there. Living Sisu is a great company. We know one of the co-founders, Zach Fricali. He's a great guy. He's the co-founder. He does a lot of live streams on Instagram at Living Sisu, and with a bunch of elite athletes, and you learn a lot from like the athletes' determination, their resiliency, everything to what made them become successful. So it's been a great experience so far. So go on. I'm gonna leave the link in the description. So go sign up. Yo, welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and in today's episode, we are joined by a very special guest, current professional hockey goaltender Blake Scott. Blake is in his fifth pro season of professional hockey in the Federal Prospects Hockey League with the Motor City Rockers. Prior to turning pro, Blake spent time in the EMJHL, EJHL South, the USPHL Elite, and the USPHL Empire for juniors before playing 3 years of college hockey for Liberty University before turning pro. So this has been an episode in the making for a while now, Blake. So welcome to the show, Blake Scott.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been a long journey, and just pretty much just never give up is the attitude to have, just keep going, make every day a better day. 1% better is like the team motto this year, I think. So it's a good motto to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for being able to come on the show. But to start things off, like, how have you been? Like, it's been a crazy journey so far. It's like, how's everything going in Motor City for you?
It's been great. It's a local team close to my house, so I'm living at home, and I couldn't ask for a better situation than where I'm at now. It's a lot of I took the year off last year, not playing in the Fed, and getting back into it, just taking it day by day, not pushing and being too hard on myself, and every day I notice I feel like I'm opening up more, so to say, like everything's clicking, coming back into place. And I played 6 games already, and it's just I I feel like all my cylinders haven't really been fired yet, and I feel like they're finally coming all together. And it's in my head, it's like it's go time, so to say, right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And like your first 6 games you've been super successful. So like how has it been for you individually and the team wise, especially since like everyone's playing so well in front of you, like you're starting to finally like fire on all cylinders. Like what's the feeling in the room and everything?
Oh, the room is great. I mean, we have a great group of guys. I mean, camaraderie is at an all-time high level right now. We have a great coach that keeps it simple for us, and it just we have all the pieces are coming together now. It's when like say I didn't have a good games against Delaware, so to say, but the team played so well that it didn't matter, so to say. And I'm like I got lucky with that one, but next game I got to play better. And then the game against Watertown, it was like I knew we were on the road, everyone's legs were coming up, and so to say, like when you're on the road and that first period, everyone's got bust legs, and there's going to be some big opportunities. And I just tried to make sure that I recognize that and mentally prepare myself for what's ahead, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And like it took a while to get like that first game because Babs was playing so well.
Yep.
Shout out to Trevor Babin, great guy,
Oh
great
yeah.
goalie. But it took you a while to get that first game, and like
Hmm.
you and Trav, also a great guy, like split time between backup and third strings. Like, how did that go? And do you have any tips for anyone like going through something like that where like there's a third string that could come along?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the beginning of the year I was labeled as third string because I had the year off, and it was just we didn't know what you were getting from me, so to say, and just being patient, trying to get 1% better. It's I'm on the team now, and I have the time to get better every practice because Babin's playing lights out every game, and I'm trying to take advantage of it, but also be ready at the same time. So it's just like finding that balance mentally in your head where it's like you got to be ready, but like don't expect to be your best right now. Like
Yeah.
everything's going to build up. It's a long season, and hopefully, and just hopefully just continue that 1% better every day type of mentality and support Babin when he's there, and just he's the guy, and just got to be there for him. That's your job.
Yeah, it's like what do you learn from a guy like Babin since he's arguably one of the best goalies, if not the best goalie in the league, and just like having him along your side, just being able to be there for support.
Yeah, I mean his daily routine is excellent. He's always stretching, and it's always something that's like very important as a goalie. It sounds cliche to say, but there's a lot of goalies that don't do it, and they don't know why they can't do this or why they can't do that. But if I mean, stretching is so important for longevity, and just him to be able to do those splits on a daily basis in practice and in games and still play 2 games is just something I've never seen before. You know what I mean? It's just like, man, those groins got to be steel, and it's just like awesome to see because it's like if he can do it, I got to push myself, and
Yeah.
I try to push him, and we push each other. I like to think, and it's a good battle to have in practice to make it almost like games are easier kind of attitude, and that's what I try to look for is just make sure practice is harder than the games, and when games come up, it's easy breezy almost hypothetically.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just you're getting 1% better every day. Like once you start putting those pieces together every day, that 1% adds on to 2%, 5%, 50%,
Exactly.
100%, just keeps going, and you can just keep seeing the progress.
Exactly. And it just comes down to just the balance of not being too hard on yourself, but if you're the most critical on yourself compared to anyone else, it doesn't really matter what anyone says.
Yeah.
Like like you said, I've played juniors in college, and it's just like at the pros, I've been through everything. I mean, from not from winning an MVP in national tournament to not playing the championship game, but I played the semifinals game. We win 2-1. We get outshot 25-57, and I don't play the championship game because I was a freshman. It's like one of those
Yeah.
things. Just it keeps you going, though. You can't give up on that. You played great, but you didn't get the opportunity to get the championship, and it's just those little flames that I'll relight, so to say, to keep me going through the season if it's like I'm struggling, so to say.
Yeah, so it, like puts a fire in you, and you're able to just like stuff happens, like you just gotta like it's in the past. You just gotta keep going and
Exactly.
just have that flame just keep going, and then keep pushing you and pushing you every single day.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you said you didn't play in the Fed last year. So like what did you do last year, like at like
So
throughout the year?
so last year, I didn't play for the Fed because I just needed to focus on stuff at home more and be more family oriented and get that squared away first. And I played for the not Motor City, sorry, Waterford Sharks in the MIHL, the Michigan Independence Hockey League, I believe it is. And they weren't going to have a team at first, I believe was a situation. And I talked to the guys who ran it, Nick Parrott, he's a great guy. And it was just like, we got to have a team. I know it sounds selfish, but I need to play for a championship, even though it's not the Fed.
Yeah.
And it's just, I want to play. And I know there's other guys that were in the area that wanted to play too, that like Alex Gregorich and Zach Sokanich that weren't playing in the Fed, but they played prior to with me with Port Huron. And we had that little core group of guys. And we just played every other Saturday, and that was perfect. Be at home. Didn't have any practices, so that's where I was just like I missed out on practice, and I could feel it affect my game. So I was like, I can't do more than a year off, so to say. But it was a great season. We went all the way to the championship and lost in the final game. But it was, I mean, for a team that was put together last minute, camaraderie again. We were it was such a blast. For an off season, I couldn't ask for a better situation.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome that you went that like you were able to at least get games in. Like I'm in the same situation this year where I'm playing in the Michigan League over there
awesome. Yep.
for the Blue Water Stars. So like I know exactly what you're talking about. I actually have a game this Saturday against Waterford.
Awesome. Good luck. I think I saw that. But yeah, I'm happy to see that they're in first place this year. I'm happy for that because it's one of those things where you leave a team and you feel guilty a
Yeah,
little bit, and it's just like you hope for them to be successful so you don't feel any more guilt. So it's just like it's awesome to see that they're
yeah,
undefeated this year. It's but I'm also happy to see that there's a team in Blue Water now. Just the
yeah.
league's getting bigger, and hopefully that league doesn't go anywhere, so to say.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what do you learn from a league like that when like the talents like there's good talent like all over the place. Like
Yeah,
from there's Fed guys, American League guys, even that are in that league. So like, what do you learn from a league like
I think
that?
it's really recognizing who's on the ice. Like, obviously, I realize always respect the shooters because at this age, everyone can shoot.
Yeah,
I mean, even if they can't aim, they'll get lucky that time. You're not there. So it's like respect the shooters, but also like so to like respect who's on the ice for your team too. Like, there's guys that didn't play but high school, or then there's guys that played pro. So it's just kind of like learning what they're giving you because it's not something you're maybe used to,
yeah,
so to say. So it's just always being aware, like I guess hyper aware because the game's a little bit slower, so you can kind of like identify guys more. So I guess that would be the biggest change.
yeah, exactly. And like, there's always something that you could learn no matter what league you're in. Just from
Exactly.
a patient standpoint to like reading like the stick blades, reading like the like
Yep.
anticipating like where the play is gonna happen, what's gonna happen next. Like
Hmm.
you could learn from literally every situation on the ice.
Yeah, I mean, being in Michigan too, I even played adult league here, and I'm playing with my neighbors and stuff, and during the week to get practice last year, and it's just there's guys that played D1, and it's just like I'm still getting great opportunity shots throughout the seat,
Yeah.
my off year. So it's like as long as I keep my shape, as long as I'm reading shots that are the same, it's just getting back to reading plays again and getting that speed down and making everything like muscle memory, so to say.
Yeah, exactly. So then the following year, you spent time with the Port Huron Prowlers as well as the year prior. You spent a little time with them,
Yep.
where you went 1-4 in 2020, 2021,
Yep.
but you went 9-0 after you got traded from Watertown in 2019, 2020. It's like, what were those 2 years of professional hockey like with Watertown and then Port Huron?
Great question. So the first year with Port Huron, I started off in Watertown, and I think there was like 20 goalies at main camp, and it was one of those things where I battled my way through all those goalies, all the agency shenanigans you got to deal with,
Yeah,
and I had a I had a son on the way going into that season, and I know I had X amount of time till he was born in December. So I just all summer I was just like I've never. It sounds bad to say as an athlete, but I've never gone 100% every single day of the summer and seeing what that can do for me. And I went off ice crazy, so to say, not enough to get injured,
yeah,
but enough to be prepared that no matter what was thrown at me, I wasn't gonna get over, and I started in Watertown. I got injured last day of camp, so I didn't play for 2 weeks, and that's like time's ticking, and
yeah.
I get 3 games in before I have to go. Like, it's December 1st, and it's like 2 weeks away. He's gonna be born. I gotta go. And Watertown was very supportive about it. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better situation when with what I gave them, so to say. And they helped. They made it really easy on me. Let's put it that way. And I went home with 3 games, 3-0 with Watertown, and then it was a month, and I think it was like beginning of January. It was right after Christmas. They had 3 goalies get hurt, or Port Huron did, and it was just I was at home. I skated with some of the Port Huron guys because I was living in Michigan before, because I was starting a family and all that during the
Yeah.
summer, and my family was in Port Huron, so I was skating with those guys, and I was like, I mean, situation like I've never like turned my back on a team, but this is different, like
Yeah.
they understood, like Watertown understood and everything. So they called me up. They said we needed a team, or we need a goalie, because, and I'm just like, this is fate. You don't have 2 goalies get hurt and then a goalie get hurt the next day, and there's nothing. It's So I just made the most of that opportunity, and one game after another counted to 9, and pandemic hit, and that was it. It's just like that was it was tough, because it was just we've never had a team with such good hopes going into playoffs. Just
Yeah.
winning never gets old. And it just that year I was new dad. I'm just like, I'm not losing a game this year. Like, it was just that kind of mindset. Like, never felt that way, and it's just like hard to repeat that kind of feeling. Because it's just you only become a new dad once. It was just I was riding that high, so to say. Like, sounds terrible to say, um but then the next year, well, let's rewind. The day we got our season ended with the pandemic, and it was just I got a call from my dad, and saying my grandma's got dementia, and she lives in Waterford, which is where I'm at now, and that she needs a caregiver. And with the pandemic, there's no way we're going to nursing homes. And
Yeah.
I was like, my season's over. I'll be right there. No questions about it. So that whole season, I was taking care of my grandma at the same time, and it was just I never had time to relax. And my play showed, going 1-4. I'm like, this isn't me, even though it's a pandemic year and there's SP guys, East Coast guys. Like, my mentality wasn't there. So going 1-4 just was very frustrating, because it's like I know that's not me, and I felt bad that I performed in front of those guys that way. And that's why I kind of took the year off, because I was doing a lot. It's just taking care of my grandma with my son, and just I
Yeah.
had the confidence that I can get back to it, you know, and that's where I'm at now, is just trying to get back into it, and trying to show that year was a fluke, like
Yeah.
I'm not that goalie, so to say. I like to tell myself.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, and, like, you just need that, like, rest period
Mm-hmm.
between those years, just, get your mindset right, get, like,
Mm-hmm.
recovered from, like, everything you had in the past, and you're just able to just go all in, and just, like, you're still on a roll now, and it's, like,
Yep.
just like that MJ, that Michael Jordan mentality of just, I'm gonna win
Exactly.
every single time I'm out there."
That's honestly probably one of my favorite documentaries to watch.
Yeah.
It gives me goosebumps sometimes, but I know I'm not comparable by any means, but I'm just like, I know that feeling a little bit. It's just, so it's like, I mean, I'll even watch that, randomly, if I need a little bit of a mental boost. Just like, I'll watch, you know that documentary, or Miracle, just whatever it takes kind of mentality. Like, you have a lot of weapons in your arsenal, but don't always use them. Use them when you need to, and then they'll work. If you use them too much, it won't work necessarily. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah, I love that documentary. It was just you could just tell that every time he's out there, like, he's not losing. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
like, he's gonna carry his team and just put the team on his back whenever
Hmm.
they needed him, and he's just gonna go out there and just win them the game, and just
Exactly.
be that strong guy, and like that guy that the team needs.
Exactly. And I think that's what's also an important mindset, is to help, like, not be too hard on yourself. It's just like, win the game. It's a team sport. Like,
Yeah,
as long as you give the guys the opportunity to win, like, that's all that matters. All those stats and all those everything else will come in. They'll work their way into it. As long as you're, like, that game against Delaware, I let 3 goals on 15 shots. I mean, I could be upset, and saying, man, that hurt my save percentage, but it's
Yeah.
also, we won the game. It's those three goals were in the slot. It is what it is. It looks terrible on the stats, but you won the game, move on forward. So it's
Yeah.
just one of those. I think it's the mindset that it's helped me like keep everything level, not be too hard on myself. It's with the team that I have in front of me, it's great. I mean, the defensive core and the forward support down low, it's awesome to see because with a great coach, and everything, like it's not it's not that common in the Fed, so to say. And it's just
Yeah.
we were very fortunate to have that situation here.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I found it like the same way as like I used to carry like hold myself against like save percentage and goals against average and all
Mm-hmm.
that, but I'm at the point in my career where it's just like you need to win, you need to win games.
Yep.
So as long as you're giving your team a chance to win games, like that's all I can ask for.
Yep. And I think like what allowed me to come to the conclusion is like everyone loves winning.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have a goalie that has a 95 save percentage, but it's like if like winning's important to building up that confidence as a team. It's just I understand there's some situations where like there was a situation where we played Watertown, Babs was playing, and he was lights out 0-0 all game, and we lost in overtime. And it's just like he did everything he could to win that game and just didn't get rewarded for it. It's like
Yeah.
you can't be hard on yourself about those. He wasn't by any means. He was, but it's just like those are the games where you're just like, what are you supposed to do? You can't score the goals, but it's just you got to keep battling and stay confident.
Yeah, and like that's the biggest thing is just battle and compete. Like just that's all you gotta do is battle and compete, and hopefully you find yourself getting some wins. But if not, like
Yep,
it's a grind. It's gonna happen. Like
yep,
you just can't get down on yourself.
yep. And I mean, it's we've been in the season for almost 3 months or so, but it's just like we still got a long way to go. So it's pretty much it's time to get moving. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
we're in a good spot for being a first year team, and I'm happy to see the success we're having right now. It's awesome to see.
yeah, absolutely. And then in 2018-19, that was like your first year in the Fed where you were with Danville with the Dashers, you
Yep.
were with Elmira Enforcers and Watertown as well. So like what was that first year pro like?
First year I started off in free agent camp in Carolina Thunderbirds in Richmond. There was a free agent camp in Richmond, which I'm from Virginia. So I was like, I can make that, whatever that be undeniable kind of attitude I also like to
Yeah,
have because I've been through so much in adversity. I'm like, I'm gonna give you no option,
yeah,
kind of attitude. And I wasn't in shape for the camp, and they already had their goalies for the year, but they were like, Danville needs goalies, and their main camp is whenever it was, so to say. So I go to their main camp, and there's two goalies that played the year before, and it's kind of like pretty much right away I don't have the opportunity. Like it's like those are
yeah,
the two guys. If they get called up, then you'll get the opportunity. So one of them gets called up, and I don't play a single game until the starting goalie gets hurt. And the first game is 9 guys traveling on the bus. We're calling
yeah,
guys. I called a guy like my first game was also Eric Masters' first game, which is I played college with him. I played youth hockey with him, junior hockey, like I've known him forever. And so it was cool to have like that experience with someone that you've known for a long time. And
yeah,
it was one of those games where I was just like, man, for my first pro game, I've never been like, I don't know if we even have an opportunity to win this with 9 guys against Carolina. That was their year that they were just winning and almost unstoppable. And I mean, they won the championship that year. So it was in Teddy Bear night, it was just everything was lining up against me. I'm like, so to say, good thing I have like some composure to like deal with all this, but like,
yeah,
man, it's just like all the odds are against me right now. And I did what I could, and it was just those 2 games, and that was it. I didn't have any other starts the rest of the year. And I'm like, this next season, which is why I had that grit all summer long going into Watertown, like, this isn't me as a goalie. Like, like I'm already being pushed out the door, and I haven't even gotten a shot yet. I got handed
yeah,
that, and I just responded from that, so to say, from that season. Like it gave me confidence because I went from after those games in Danville, they released me, so to say, and then I got picked up by Elmira, and I didn't play at all. I played one game against a New York Police Department game. That was my only game I played there, and it was great, like learning experience there. What they had, they opened my eyes up, and I got traded by Cody Porter, and we switched teams from Elmira. I went to Watertown, and I think I finished like Rutledge was my goalie partner. He was starting all the games,
Yeah.
and I maybe finished 3 or 4 of those games. And the games that I finished up, I did pretty well, and so it gave me the confidence going in the summer. And I even watched around the playoffs on the bench, so I know what playoff hockey looked like in the Fed, and it just it was a good experience for learning. Like I didn't get a lot of opportunities, but I made the most of that year, so to say.
Yeah, and that's all you can really do, and is
Mm-hmm.
just learn those experiences and just learn from those experiences. And then
Yep.
like you talked about composure as well, and like composure is one of the most important things as a goalie, especially like when, like you said, like all the odds were stacked up against you. It's like
Mm-hmm.
what do you do to help yourself like stay composed and not like get like so like spiral out of
I think
just like
it's
keep
a big
spiraling.
big thing is routine. Like I always like because I'm practicing every day and I'm up, it's like the same time frame as a morning skate before a game. So I try to like keep those all of when I stretch it's the same time, game or practice in the morning, right before skate, and then after I'll stretch a little bit, even if it's before a game or practice. And then you always have a pregame nap. So like I'll take a nap at least for an hour on practice days. Just napping is important for recovery.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds a lazy thing to say, but as an athlete, napping is so important. And just keeping the game days and practice days as similar as they can, even though you play in the afternoon and you practice in the morning. It's just what you can do to keep the consistency up
Yeah.
in your habits, and then your body's gonna, I think, more relaxed because it knows what it's coming up to. And I think even goalie coaching on Mondays and Tuesdays when I would be playing a game at 7:30, so to say, it allows me. I've noticed I'm more aware. It helps me to get those awareness on the ice reps because it's just like my body going through that routine, so it doesn't have to. It's not thrown off guard, so to say. So even if I'm sitting on the bench for 2 periods and I get thrown in, like I'm able to go. Just like that's what Watertown the end of the year in Watertown showed me playing those games at the end. Just like I could be on the bench for 2 periods, but my mindset, my composure, it's like we're down and we're getting clobbered, but I'm ready to go because this is my opportunity, and my mind has been waiting for this more than the opportunity's been existing. This
Yeah.
is my time right now.
Yeah, and that's a good mindset to have, especially like a lot of guys like you're cold and you're on the bench for 2 periods, and then like you have to get like instantly like in the mindset of playing a game when you've been on the bench the past 2 periods. So
Yep.
just having that mindset of just like you're ready to go
Yep.
if you ever need to go in that third period or second period or whatever, that you're able to just flip a switch and go.
And I mean, it's like even the little things, like the things that I had to learn was how can I be in the game even though I'm not in the game. So it's like always being ready for a water bottle. Like I never give it to Babs, so to say, but I'll put it on the bench right there so that he can grab it and it's ready for them. Like that's how
Yeah.
like having that consistent open the door for when a D's coming, being aware when they're changing because we're breaking out of the zone and the pressure's going into like that's kind of like reading the play a little bit, but you're not playing, but you're still reading the play and what's being aware on the ice instead of just are they shooting, are they passing? It's recognizing how long those guys have been on the ice and being just those little things that help you have the pace of the game in your head when you go out there if you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not like sluggish or like zoning out. You're focused on the game, like
Yep.
the pressure that's happening of opening the doors, like you said, and just being able to go to that speed.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, backing up or starting, I'm still doing the same thing before every game. There's
Yeah.
nothing that's changing because it's like I mean, goes back to routine. I didn't play for like the first 3 or 4 weeks, so to say. I'm not sure, but every single one of those games I backed up, I was practicing my routine for when I get that start. So when I got the start in Port Huron, my first game, I was ready to go because I've had a couple games. Even if I'm scratched, I'll keep my distance and stretch and be out of the way of the guys because I don't want to get in their way by any means.
Yeah.
It just keeping that routine up. And even if it's watching the game and trying not to talk to someone because you're trying to be dialed in, watching it from the stands, it's just use that opportunity to read the game. I wouldn't say as serious as like how Gretzky would say he would do the pencil on the board while he's watching the game and seeing the puck, but just the more you watch the game and you see repetitions and
Yeah.
it just muscle memory eventually. I think I mentioned that earlier about just like that's the time of year we're in is everything's becoming muscle memory. So
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that answer. And like, I want to get into like your time before pro, so college and juniors right now. So, you played 3 years at Liberty University, ACHA D2, and you were also on the ACHA D1 team at
yep.
there. You're in 2016, 17. So, like, what were those 3 years like, and everything that you learned, especially going from like the ACHA Division two to the D1 team?
Yeah, my first year it was I had I had a learning lesson that year because I have always had the opportunity to show myself that I'm better than who whatever they have.
Yeah,
And that year is, you're at college, you're a freshman, you're labeled as a freshman, and that's what you are. And I was planning on being D1. Like I just knew I could get that spot, but then the guy who played D2 on the D2 team for 4 years wanted to play a fifth year, so he got the automatic bid, and those, it's
yeah,
just seniority.
yeah.
So I went to the D2 team. I'm like, I'm gonna make the most of this. I'm ready to go. Like I'm gonna be a starter. I did great that year. We had a great team. It was a, you know, camaraderie was great that year. Like we went to a national championship in the beginning of the year. I didn't even know until I was on the team that they almost won it the year before, and it's just like, all right, we're gonna do it this year. And it goes back to just, I guess I like to say, standing on my head. Like I was for D2 club out, I was furious all year long, so to say, but I didn't like to show it emotionally.
Yeah.
And we went to the championship. We all played great, and just that net, like I mentioned earlier with the semifinals, I played that game and we won. We've never been to the championship before, and I didn't get that start, and I'm just watching that game. That's all I can do is just watch. And we lost. I think it was 5-3 or something. And I'm just like thinking, I'm like, I didn't let more than 3 goals all year. And I'm just like, it's just one of those things where you can't relish on it so much, but it's just like when you need that fire lit, just remind yourself, you know, what you've missed out on. And it was a nice icing on the cake, though, at the end of the game after the championship. They gave out the awards and stuff, and they named me as, I think it was all team national tournament goalie or whatever,
Yeah.
so I guess MVP, goalie MVP or whatever. But I'm like, I didn't even play the championship game. Where does this happen? Like
Just left
it's
like a sour taste in your mouth.
exactly. I just like this could mess me up mentally, but just use it as fuel, because I've
Yeah.
I've never heard of anyone in that situation before. Anything even close.
Yeah.
And it's just I've always wanted to play to get a ring. I've never gotten a ring. I've been that close, and going back to playing juniors, I mean, I've been close to getting rings like Final Four every year, but the next year they saw my play and I went to the D1 team. I was like, finally, and I got my first set of pads ever to not be paid for. I was just like, I've
Yeah.
like that's always like a goal as a goalie to be like the team paid
You
for my
made it.
pads, like like exactly. So like it was learning adjustment because we go back to I'm getting 18 shots a game. The game's 5-4, and it's like this goes where I had to learn where it's about winning. Those stats aren't set up for you to have great stats. It is what it is. As long as you win the game. In my first game in D1 was a shootout against Stony Brook, and against the last guy was their top goal scorer, goal player of the year before, and it was just a great feeling to have the park packed barn and just the atmosphere at Liberty was just awesome to play at. And I'm like, this is why I'm here, and I played the first semester, and my last game was a shutout. And then I didn't pay attention to my grades too much, so to say. It was all on me. And then that next semester, I did what I needed to do to get my grades up, and they moved on already. And it's just life lesson. I went to D2, and it was a fun year, but it was just I wanted to play pro after college. These guys didn't, that kind of
Yeah.
attitude, and it's just like they're more worried about spring break versus going to a national tournament, and it's just like I can't do this another year and expect to play. And it's like it was not the smartest move that everyone makes, but it's just I've been so invested into hockey and the years that I put into hockey, sacrificing summers, and just like I have to do this, and moved on from everything and never moved away from home and started my pro career, and it will go back to when I played juniors though. That was my hometown, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake area. And I grew up watching the Norfolk Admirals, and one of the owner used to play for them, and I grew up playing with his son on the junior team and all that. It was a awesome place to play. I worked the Zamboni. I was the Zamboni driver while practicing at the same or playing there at the same time, and just I knew I knew everyone there, the employees there, the coaching staff. Like it was
Yeah.
just like a great place to play. And I even come across players I played with 8 years ago, and we just relish on the moments we had there because it was just there was lessons I learned there. We did summer training for 8 weeks in July and August to get us ready every year till we had that camaraderie going into the season. And it's just that's what showed me like preparation is everything. Like if you prepare, the games are easy. And I think that's what the Whaler junior program showed me the most.
Yeah, so like those are all great lessons to learn throughout like your college and junior career, and like you're able to just learn from those different experiences, and like just from maybe paying attention closer to your grades, because you went from the D1 team to D2 team because of that.
Yep.
Like just like those little lessons, like especially like when it comes to like your education and everything, as well as playing, and then whatever you need to learn to know what it takes to get to that pro level. Like there's a lot to learn from those few years from college to juniors.
Yep. I during the juniors, it was awesome to be able to have like playing at home and not playing. I was also a billet. So like I would host guys, and I was the kid playing junior A at 16, and everyone's 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
And like it was just honestly, it was such a good time to be able to just go from like living the dream of playing, like growing up in Virginia. You never had the AAA. You never like you had the summer teams, which I did AAA summer teams and stuff. But I was finally able to just go to from practice, leave school at 1:30, and go practice with my teammates. My brothers. And it was just that year being able to practice every day. My first year of juniors playing junior A was just a year I won't forget because I was the new kid on the block, so to say. Like I was the youngest on the team, and I just was a rookie, and just did what rookies needed to do, and was also playing against guys that they're in the NHL now, and it's like a year I won't ever forget because the year before I was playing junior C, in the SCJHL,
Yeah.
which is the Southeastern Junior Hockey League, which does not exist anymore by any means. But it was a it was a good learning experience because it was juniors. before junior C, I was playing U16A. You know, there was nothing, so I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't want to play juniors, but there's no AAA, so I have to go the junior route, even if it's starting at junior C. And then within a one full season of playing junior C and like maybe 2 weeks of junior B, I got called up to junior A. Goalie got sick. I think it was like some staff or whatever, you know, and I just we didn't lose a game from January till nationals, you know, and
Wow.
we and it was just like one of those things where it's just I can I can do this. And awesome little keynote was the Norfolk Admirals were in the AHL at the time and they practiced like literally after us. So I had Frederick Anderson in one net and John Gibson in the other net,
Oh,
and I'm like watching them in the AHL. I'm like, these guys, like, this is how, like, what it takes, just watching them battle, and it was like, look at where they're at now. They're in the
yeah.
AHL, but I was just seeing how simple they made everything. And that's literally the definition of their game is keeping everything simple, and for being a goalie that's very like reactive when I was in juniors, so to say, I learned that keeping everything simple is the key to making not so many mistakes, so to say, and it was just one day they asked me to go out on the ice and practice with them because John Gibson wasn't able to practice. And I'm like, this is awesome, and I won't ever forget that day, practicing with guys that are in their NHL, like just a whole AHL practice, a Wednesday, they had a
Yeah.
game on Friday, just even though I wasn't on their team, it was just like I was on their team for that 45 minutes. You know what I mean? It was just, and I didn't do bad. I got sniped a couple times. Their power play was cycling so quick compared to what I was used to, but I was like, I can do this if the opportunity comes. Like, I know what the next level is, and I know what I got to do to get to the next level. Maybe never get to the AHL, but it's like I know what it takes to get there. Being
Yeah.
28 as a goalie, it's just you always have that hope and opportunity, but it's just be happy where you are now. That's how that's pretty much where I'm at, and just win. That's all you can
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you held your own again in an AHL practice, like there's nothing better than that, and like what it takes to get to that level, and
Yep.
how hard it is to get to that level, and like how
Yep.
hard the shots are coming off, like the angle deception,
Yep.
it's crazy how much a simple like angle change can screw up your entire angle, and then you get
Yep.
sniped from there.
Exactly. And it's just the game's always changing. If you're not a
Yeah,
student of the game, I mean, you're falling behind. I mean,
yeah,
I'll even watch highlights on a nightly basis to see what goals are working now, because if I wait for a goalie coach to teach me, well, that's going to be next summer.
yeah,
This is what's happening right now. Even though it's in the NHL, well, what do you think everyone in my league's doing? They're watching the same games. Oh, that's what I can do. So if I can be ahead of that, it's preparing to make the game simple, you know, especially
yeah.
with all these lacrosse attempts nowadays.
Oh yeah, the goalie's worst nightmare is when they attempt the lacrosse, the Michigan,
and
the Zegras, whatever. Like
it's like
it
it hasn't
definitely
happened
scares
yet,
you.
but it's like I have to know before they do it what they're going to
Yeah,
do. So it's like I'm looking at when are his hips opening up, when it's like, is he putting his both of his hands close to the ice? Well, I wonder what he's doing. I don't even have to like look where he's going. I just got to cover that, just those little things that if you're always a student of the game, your mind will keep it there for when it's ready. And it comes to muscle memory where everything just comes together and you're just like, January comes and you're like, hockey's almost easy, you
yeah,
know? And then it comes to July and you get out of shape again. So to say, you take that month off and you got to repeat. And the quicker you learn that cycle, I think, and prepare for camp. And it sounds cliche to say, but it just goes back to preparation and consistency. Recognize the rhythms throughout the season.
exactly, exactly. That's awesome. And then so you're 16 playing junior A, and you're facing guys that are 19, 20. So like you're facing guys that are stronger, older, and like everything. Like they're so much older there, and they're mature. Like what are you doing as a goalie to like help yourself get to that next level, especially when you're playing against older guys?
So before that, I could react to everything as long as I had like good positioning out with my
Yeah,
feet. You know, like them, I couldn't react to everything. So I had to learn with kind of like reacting with my feet in terms of not making a split save, but like center shifting, you know, and working in that a lot. Like there would be practices where I'm like, I don't care if I'm getting scored on. I'm keeping my arms beside myself in goalie position, and everything's with the chest, you know. And
yeah,
there's certain drills that you can't do that with, but like the four guys in the neutral zone, that's a good drill to practice that with. And it's just like learning to not like if you get scored on in a lot, like it's not about like tell yourself like you're learning your angles, like adjust yourself. And like sometimes I wouldn't really care about getting scored on because I'm learning something, that I need to work on. So to say, like
yeah,
they're gonna shoot where they're gonna shoot. I'm not giving them like I'm not playing bad. It's just I'm not gonna try to do a windmill glove save. I want to see what I can do with my shoulder, and dial this save in versus trying to make everything with my touch glove, and just seeing where the puck goes after those plays where it's just when you get a tip shot from the point and you can't see where the puck comes, but it hits you in your shoulder. Well, you practice that repetition when it hits you in the shoulder. Where does it go? And just it goes back to just being a student of the game. Make if practices are easy, well, how can you make them harder on yourself to where you can make the game easier on you when it comes to the weekend? And it just comes to pushing yourself that 1% better every day, so to say.
yeah. Just working and getting those repetitions in, and just testing things out. Like not like like when I play games and like I lose, like I don't say I lose games, I say I learn from them, because
Yep.
you're learning from every situation, every game that the team loses, like goals you give up, like you're learning like whether like it's your angles, like how much depth you need at that particular like
Yep.
situation. So you're gaining a lot more than you're just like staying neutral.
Exactly. And I mean, I've even noticed like being a goalie coach allows me to see what like I kind of make it a point, not like on purpose, but like if I notice something that I'm seeing that a drill during my practice I could do with one of my students, and it's like, well, what they're showing me is more than what I'm showing my
Yeah,
teammates. So it's like if their angle's good, then my angle, if I do what they're doing, is going to be even better, type
yeah,
so to say. And it's just being on both sides of the puck, so to say, helps a lot. A lot of goalies miss out on shooting pucks and seeing what they give, and it's a lot of knowing what you're giving to the shooter, and sometimes it's making trying to force them to make a mistake. So I had a talk with one of my players in practice today where he's a sniper. He's shooting. He can shoot short side on anybody all day. Like it's not a goal to
yeah,
give up, but I recognize that. So I'm like, all right, well, in a game, if that shot's not there, what is he going to do next? So I'm taking that shot away initially and forcing them to go across and backhand across my blocker. And I told him like I'm trying to make you do that move because if you don't have option A and you can do option B like that muscle memory, that's only going to get better from here, and it's only going to make me better because if I can take away option A and then force him to do option B and eventually take away option B too, well now let's work with option C, and then that's how I guess you don't end up on your butt, so to say, making
yeah.
backdoor plays and you're stay composed like Terry Price would.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like I learned so much just from being on that other side of the puck, like you said, as being a goalie coach. Like
Mm-hmm.
it really like showing like the your students like edge work drills, like it really like helps like your skating be a lot more smoother and everything. And you're just like you said, like if their angle is really good, like you're bigger than them. So it's like your angle is gonna be even better than you're thinking. Like we're always our worst enemy when it comes to being like critical on like what we're doing, like we were talking about earlier. So it's like if they're doing it right and it looks good, like, and we're in the same exact spot and like same
Mm-hmm.
area, like we're in the right area as well.
Yep, exactly. And it's come. I think one thing I picked up, I wish I would have picked up when I was younger, but eventually when you play at, I guess after youth hockey and the rinks that you're playing at more consistent, the hash marks and the circles are always at the same. So when
Yeah.
you're practicing, for shots at the hash marks, well, if like you're thinking like in a game, like, oh crap, he's at the hash marks, what's he gonna do? And they're like, no, in practice, I went to the hash marks and this is what I gave him. So my blocker side's covered. I just got to drop and block for that side. So I only got to worry about my glove hand.
Yeah.
It's kind of like cutting the ice in half, like on a PK. The idea is to cut the ice in half, and it's so quick, it's hard to do, but it's like that's kind of like what you want to do, so to say.
Yeah, and just slow the game down a little more than it's going. Like once you do
Yep,
that, like everything just becomes that much more easier and that much more simpler.
yep. And I mean, the way it works with me in my head is just like when snaps all down. Well, it's like reading plays to play the puck to make the game
Yeah.
even that much more simpler.
Yeah.
It's just like there's always something better you can do. It's even though it's like say I have this 6 games, win 6 wins right now. It's just I'm not satisfied.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot more work to do. That's like those I take. It's kind of like taking one game at a time. Like I don't even look at the schedule until after the weekend because it's like I just can't. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things that if I do, it's like I'm going against my preparation. And
Just be in
it
the
sounds
moment.
silly to yeah, it sounds silly to say because I have family that tell me when I'm playing. I'm like, I didn't even know, and it's just like sometimes I have to break the rules, but I'll just be like, ask my fiance to just look at the schedule and tell me when I'm playing, and so I don't have to look. It's just those little superstitions, It's you don't have a lot, but as long as it's enough to keep you on your toes, to know that a little bit of discipline, so to say. I wouldn't call it, it is what you call it.
Yeah.
Goalies are
It,
weird.
yeah. Yeah. I guess we are. And like, yeah, like just be in the moment, being like where your feet are and like
Yep,
not overthinking or thinking about like what's in the future, like what's in the past, like just be in just be in the present now.
exactly. And that's we'll go back to that documentary with MJ. I mean, there's no one that did it better about being in the moment. And it's
Yeah.
like that's one thing I learned from that documentary was always being in the moment. I mean, like we get sticks from our teams and stuff, but I have sticks that I have at home and I haven't used them in a couple years, but the kid that I give them to has no idea,
Yeah.
and it's just like I'm I was that kid once, watching the Admirals play, and I got sticks, and I played with them that year. I made it work somehow, and it was just like that's what it's about. Is giving the little things away that just make those kids' day because you don't know what they have to deal with. They're there to have a good time,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter who you are. It's who they think you are. It's like being present for them at that moment, and they won't forget it. Because when I was that kid, I didn't forget it. You know what I mean? And it's just even when the parents say thank you, it's just like it's almost I'm obligated because I want
Yeah.
to so badly. And I know that it just giving back is what it's all about.
Yeah, you know the feeling when you were younger, like the kids are feeling the exact same. Like now, looking at like you and like as a pro athlete, and then just giving back to the game. Like we've all been there when we've been in the when we've been younger, and like
Mm-hmm.
now we're at where we are, and like it's it feels like an obligation to get back to the game because
Yep.
that's how you just want to make everyone happy and like
Yep.
enjoy coming out to the game every game.
Exactly. And it's like at the end of the day, it's like I'm playing pro hockey, and I got a family of my own. I couldn't ask for anything more, and whatever I can do to be helpful. It's like even if I'm not playing, I'm talking to the guys. I'm like, you did great on this play, and like like I always give active feedback, so to say, and
Yeah.
I guess not really constructive criticism, but active feedback. And just playing your role. The role changes so quick, so it's like play the role that you're given, and don't fuss about it because a lot of times the coach is doing it for a reason. you
Yeah.
know, and I had to learn that the hard way too. From juniors to college, it's just now it's just like I understand, you know, and I think that's what like pro hockey is about is by the time you're here, even though it is single A, you know, it's you're playing pro hockey, you need to I've already been through this and nothing should phase you anymore. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it just that's kind of like my mindset coming into pro is like I went through juniors, I went through college. I don't know what more could be thrown at me. I learned the first year in Danville what more could be thrown at me, you know, but I try, you know, just the cliches of rising to the occasion, you know. I growing up in a military area in military household and just character is everything, you know. It's character leads you the long way, and it's it helps with the game too when you apply it to hockey, I guess so to say. Like you don't become too prideful. It's very easy to become prideful as a goalie or as a player in general, you know, and just knowing you're just another guy, you know, but
Yeah.
you're doing something extraordinary to your interpretation. Someone else might not think it, but as long as you're confident in yourself, that's all that matters. You know, you're living your life, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I love that answer, and like everything that you had to say, I agree with 100%, and I believe that's a great way to end end this podcast. So, Blake, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time, and I want to wish you the best of luck going forward with this season. And I look forward, hopefully, catching the game sometime soon, or maybe playing against you or whatever.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I appreciate you having me. I've been wanting to watch some MIHL hockey, but we play on the same nights every night, and I'm just like,
I know.
this isn't fair. I'm hoping for a Sunday game sometime soon. But good luck with the rest of your season and Saturday too as well.